Good evening, one and all. How the devil are we? Welcome along to the new show we do that covers the weekly press conference. It is Spurs we're playing, isn't it, this weekend? I think it is.
It's time! Strap yourself in, because we're set up, switched on, and ready to go.
You are watching and listening to Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube and your favourite podcasts. Till I Die TV, your first choice for everything Leicester City. Tune in and join in now.
And now, here's your host.
Right, Chris.
All right, welcome back. Yeah, I'm just a bit confused because the headline earlier, and this was on the Leicester City YouTube channel, it's a big challenge. Brendan Rodgers, Leicester City versus Aston Villa. It would be a bloody big challenge because we'd have to go back in time. Back to the future, Brad.
Yeah, I mean, it'd probably be a bit of a letdown if that was the next Back to the Future movie after the three that I watched. But yeah, it's one of them. They've made a few errors with their things. I think sometimes it's just a re-upload and forget to change the title. But yeah, Back to the Future Part 4, the Aston Villa game that never was.
Yes, I know, but it is always for people. Always enjoy taking pointing out my mistakes when I forget to update things. So it's like you sit on the birds below you. So Leicester, I had to do that. Two things before we get into this. First of all, if you haven't heard, me and Brad did one on Monday night. I did one yesterday or Wednesday night. It's the new radio show. Please go along to mixit.com. Sorry, no, you don't. You go along to mixcloud.com. Mixcloud, all one word, mixcloud.com/LTID radio. All you got to do is just follow and then just enjoy. It's a chat with music. It's a chat with music. 9 o'clock on Monday wasn't a bad time when we did it. 6 o'clock yesterday wasn't the best of times, I'm judging by the viewers. And we're doing one at 11 o'clock on Friday, 11 o'clock past the watershed. Well, how will that go? And secondly, if you're doing nothing tomorrow, I'm not sure when, look out on Twitter, and I'll try and get it onto Facebook as well. But you will see me on Football Fever on Danish television. I am on, well, don't blink, you'll miss me, to be honest with you, but it's Jan Mulby's channel. I'm on, I think I've got an Arsenal fan, a Palace fan, a Liverpool fan. Pat Nevin was on it. As well. So catch me out on there. The last question I was asked is, will Leicester get relegated? The problem is I haven't seen this press conference, Brad. Did you manage to stay awake?
Yeah, actually, nice and short and brief. Bit of a strange one. Not just for the start. Obviously, we probably understanding why. I'm sure most people understand how the start's going to go, considering the events of what happened over the last weekend, should I say? Yeah. But rinse and repeat / not much really to tell. I'm interested to see how you're going to play devil's advocate for this one, mate, and try and get some talking points. I really am, because there's normally a concerning reason when a press conference is short or not much is uploaded from it. So I wouldn't say you need a notepad that big. Maybe one of them little.
I don't need that, do I? Not.
Yeah,
Hang on.
maybe one of them chief inspector ones where they just.
Hang on, I've got. Is that okay? A post-it note.
That's too big, mate. Cut that in half, and you might be able to get enough.
For God's sake! Can I just say hello to Daniel?
No, you can't.
And I'm going to because he's written. Just popping by to say hi to Chris and Brad, son and dad. Cracking shows hosted by a guy with a little tattoo that says Leicester till I die. Can I just say?
Stop writing for him.
Can I just say, Dan, I am getting the restraining order this weekend.
Yeah.
So, okay.
and Dan, no matter how much praise you give me, I will not sign up to your OnlyFans.
No. Oh no, he's got Helen Stroke Henry's in charge of his OnlyFans. So
now.
Well, you never know. Gray is in. Good evening, Gray. How the devil are you, sir? Evening. Both Rodgers will be gone after the Spurs game. Now, before we get into the actual press conference, Brad, I'm a bit torn. Like I say, I never want us to lose a game, as I said this before, to get a manager sacked, because I don't want my team to lose, and if he goes, you don't go because of that one game that you've lost. You lose, you get sacked because of the previous however many. Even if we saw this game 3 or 4 years ago, we would lose it. We just do against Tottenham. Kane scores a couple, we lose. So sacking him after a game like with Arsenal, that the chances are we're not going to win, I don't get that. If we'd lost against Aston Villa, maybe that would have been different.
It's a catch-22, isn't it? Because the bottom of the league, we haven't won in 6. And I don't like the term excuses. I always hated it when, if you turned up like a couple of minutes late for work and you said, "Oh, I'm sorry, look, my fault, public transport, or whatever the reason, I was stuck in traffic." I always hated it, and it really riled me when a boss went, "I don't want to hear your excuses. I want your reasons." I was like, "Well, it's a fucking reason. I'm telling you the reason I'm late. I'm not giving an excuse. An excuse would be a lie, in my opinion. An excuse would be, I went back in time with Martin McFly. I don't want the excuses. I want the truth. I want the reason." And the thing is, the reasoning behind Leicester's bad run of form, it's one of them, isn't it? It's how much longer? Because unfortunate as the events were over the last weekend, in terms of what happened to the country and the Royals, it's benefited Rodgers in the sense of he's now got his staff in. He's now got that defender in. He's had an extra week to get them in and get them prepared. And he's had an extra week to do team building, get his team's head right, get them mentally ready for the challenge of Tottenham and stuff like that. So your reasons for the bad form are now coming to an end. And you're, as much as I agree with you about bogey team being Spurs, which they have been for many years, even back in the 90s when we were in the Premiership, they were a bogey side of us. We've never lost that tag against them. Sometimes it's sod's law. So you can't just go, "Oh, well, 7 games, Spurs." It don't matter if it's Spurs. To me, it doesn't matter if it's Spurs, Man City, or if it's really West Brom in the Carling Cup.
If it was this time last year, let's say, and we were playing Norwich, who were in our position, and we lost the game, you would have a complaint,
Oh, yeah.
But when we lost against Arsenal, yes, they made us look rubbish, whether we were or not, but they made us look rubbish. And you've got to sort of say, well, I don't think that I would not want to sack a manager. It's like Chelsea sacked Mourinho after they lost to us. But I wouldn't necessarily sack a manager after we lost to Chelsea or Man City or whatever. But we'll see how it goes. He has had that bit longer. I hate this, and I did actually have to warn somebody the other week that was saying, I agree they've got this extra time. I don't agree with the statement that Rodgers has got an extra 2 weeks because of that. It's a fact of life. It happened, and I'm not going to go at you here, Brad, but yeah, it happened, and let's put it to our advantage. It has given us an extra week. You know, it makes me laugh that all the papers are now linking us all with all these players in the January transfer window because we've got our head of recruitment in. We may have the head of recruitment, we've still got no money. But anyway, what I've done is, like I say, I mean, Gray just says, Rodgers at the helm, nothing will change anytime soon. I get what you are saying. I really
Well, I mean, yeah, but
I know how I felt with McClintock, how I felt with Puel, how I felt with Pleat after a while, because he kind of came in and did okay to start with, and it all went disaster. So yes, I do get it, but
what I would say to these people saying, "Oh well, while Rodgers in charge, it will never get sold." Were you saying, "Oh well, things will never get any better than it is under Rodgers," when he was making us lift the FA Cup, when we were lifting the Community Shield or the English Super Cup, to give it its Chris's term? Where were you? Where were you guys saying? Were you guys saying, "Oh, things are looking great and never get any better than 5th place finishes"? You know, two sides to every tale, isn't there? You can't sit down and say he's hopeless. It's never going to get any better when he's given us better than we ever expected as a football club.
I mean, in October, we've actually got 6 games. Can you believe?
Oh, amazing what happens when you put a World Cup and dump it in the middle of November and December. That's not.
Now, I've got to be honest with you, Gray. We've got Forest at home, Bournemouth away, Palace at home, Leeds at home, Wolves away. Man City at home again. And say what I just said, that's a given, to be honest with you. Anything we get is a bonus. If we don't come out of those previous 5 games with, at least, I've got to say, at least 3 wins, then yes, maybe the clock is ticking. So,
but I mean, that'd be the same for Pep. That doesn't matter what caliber of manager you are. If you're on this bad run and you don't win them games, you're going to lose your job. You can't just. I don't like it when fans just go, "Oh, it's Rodgers, it's Rodgers, it's Rodgers." I'm not saying he's not playing his part in the problem with Leicester, but what I'm saying is you can't just jump down his throat as if he's the most useless manager we've ever had since Peter Taylor and McClintock, when he's brought so much success to the club. We talk about burnout. Maybe this is just one bridge too far. We were told by Liverpool and Celtic fans. I know he jumped from Celtic to us, but they also claimed that it started to go a little bit after that season.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke up Rodgers' arse. I am up and down with Rodgers. I want to believe in him because of what he's been able to achieve. But then I'm also not stupid enough to know that had Ranieri stayed, we probably would have gone down. But we know he's a decent coach. I'm not going to say he's a fantastic coach. He's a decent coach. It'll be interesting to see how Potter gets on at Chelsea. Oh, by the way, a message here for Wesley Fofana. How's that move to your dream club going?
Yay! Get him in the witchy talk.
Splinters yet?
Yeah.
I had to get that in. I'm sorry. I've got to follow that with anything that's very if I click it. Sorry, Wes. Sorry. Well, I'm not sorry. No.
At
least you didn't break your leg, which is the other thing I wished on you. But right, shall we get down? Well, I've not seen this yet, so it's going to be interesting.
I won't give you spoilers, Chris. Don't worry. I'm not.
Sure they will. I'm not looking at the chat while we're doing this. Hopefully the microphones are turned on. And
yes, they are. Sorry, that is a spoiler, but you can hear them.
Well, I must admit, when I started to watch it earlier, I couldn't hear it, but when I've just played it back for the first few seconds, I could. Anyway, here, what's he got behind? Oh, it's a bottle of water by the look of it. I thought, is that a trophy? Is that a trophy I don't know about? Well, we did win one pre-season, in fairness, but anyway, here we go. This is the press conference with Mr. Rodgers for game 7. Here we go. And what we're going to do is watch it all, and then at the end, like I say, we will discuss the points raised. Here we go.
Strange way to start a football press conference, but just wondered if you could have your reaction and reflections on what's probably been an extraordinary week in all of our lives.
Yeah, it was clearly a very, very sad day, and I think it's fitting how the country's obviously commemorating the Queen's death. So yeah, she obviously done a remarkable job. Gave up her adult life virtually to her role, and like I say, always carried it out with distinction. So yeah, I had the good fortune of meeting the Queen twice, and it was very inspiring, and once on my own and once with my daughter. So yeah, it was. So I'll always cherish that memory.
Some of those stories of people meeting her have been quite spine-tingling. What did you go away thinking about her on those days then?
Yeah, well, it was very much that. I myself and my daughter Misha, we went to. She's diabetic, Misha, and we were invited to St James's Palace for an evening with the Queen and some guests, as she was the patron of the diabetes UK. So probably like most people that meet, there's certain things you got to adhere to, but as you stood waiting for it to come through into the room, there's a real anticipation and a real feeling that you're meeting someone special, and that's exactly what it was. She came through the room and came along the line and met us all. So yeah, you just think of obviously the role that she's had to play over many years, and the enthusiasm and the dedication to that role. So yeah, something that both myself and Misha would always remember.
The game was called off. Did it give you a chance for a little bit of reflection over the last few weeks? Just that kind of moment of, I don't know, perspective, looking at what you've done, just actually having a little bit of time to sum up what's happened so far?
Yeah, I think that obviously we were really looking forward to playing first and foremost. We'd trained all week, and you're ready for the game. But of course, it doesn't take place. So, like you say, you go away and you move on to your next game and look to prepare best as you possibly can for that. So yeah, obviously a sad situation meant that the game wasn't on, and then we look forward, and the players, we've had a really good week this week.
Just finally for me, a little bit of a gear change, I know, but Todd Bowley sort of talked about this north-south game this week, and it's kind of captured a few people's imagination, for good or for bad. I wondered, first of all, Leicester in the north. I'm not sure too many around here would be too happy with that. What are your thoughts? Fancy being a part of that?
Thoughts are we might get a free weekend that weekend. If it's just the north and the south, the Midlands clubs will get a breather. So that would be nice. Yeah, yeah, obviously Todd's come into the game, and we'll probably find when he looks back on the notion of that it maybe wasn't one of his better ideas. Been a very successful man in his life and his career, but no, I think we're in a world now in football where we're trying to minimise the number of games. So I really don't see what that would bring if you're looking to add another one into the mix as well. So no, it's not something that probably most football people and people in general would say we would need.
Thanks, Neil. We'll go to Ivan from PLP.
Brendan, hi.
Hi.
So it's often said you learn more about yourself in adversity. What are you learning about yourself and your team and those around you at the moment?
Well, yeah, of course it's difficult in terms of results, but what we've tried to do is just keep the environment light and making sure that the players, we understand we've been in a situation that we haven't been in here before, where we, the results haven't gone our way and the performances aren't to the level that we would want. But I think what's important is that we have to be brave. We have to continue to show that bravery. Sometimes when you're not quite in your game, you can maybe lose that aggression, but you can't afford to do that. You got to still press the game. You still got to be aggressive, and importantly, you have to defend very, very well collectively. So we've been able to look at all those aspects of our game, like I've said before, bringing a clarity and making sure the focus is there for the players. And for me, it's straightforward. You know, you just come into work and enjoy working with the players, and like I said, just trying to ensure that we can do the basics well.
And this club has had a remarkable few years, almost unlike any other, perhaps at any other club in the way that it's risen. So how is the club and those within it, how are they dealing with this sudden dip, this setback, if you like?
Well, I think everyone's very supportive and everyone's still working very, very hard. I think there's no other way. I think at times like this here, everyone has, you want to see that grit and that passion within your workplace. And that's something that we have here in abundance, because like in anything and any sport, it's not just about the talent. You know, it's the ones that succeed are those ones that have that grit and that determination and that perseverance. So that's what we're seeing. I'm seeing that from the players, and we will keep pushing, and we'll get the result that hopefully will push us on, and hopefully that'll come sooner rather than later.
And that's the key thing, isn't it? You're playing the Spurs side who've won 6 in a row in the Premier League, third in the table. Those things are obvious, you can see them. They're also stung by a defeat in midweek, which they've not actually experienced this season. So it's hard to see or recall a worse time to play them in a way. What sort of challenge is that for you?
Well, it's clearly a big challenge. They've, like you say, they've done very, very well last season into the Champions League, and got some very, very talented players. And Antonio, he works how he works, and he's got them very organised, and they have that quality there. So we know it's going to be a really difficult game at whatever stage you went there, whether you're in your best form or not. But like I said earlier, you have to have that bravery. You can't sit back and just let it happen. So for us, our intention is to go and look to play our game, go and play with that courage that we've shown many times, and that aggression in our game. And like I say, if we can cut out our mistakes, then it gives us a much better chance to get a result.
And I guess you'd urge patience. And when you look at the fixture list, I know you'll tell us every game is incredibly difficult at this level, but you look at the fixtures to come, the likes of Forest, Bournemouth, Wolves, Palace, Leeds. The next month could see a very different picture, couldn't it?
Yeah, but we think through to when the games finish in November. There's a great opportunity to push on. There's no doubt we had a tough fixture list, but in saying that, we should have more points. But you have to deliver, and that's what we aim to do. So, but listen, I totally get it. We haven't made a good start at all, but I'm very confident in the players, and from what I'm seeing, that they're very determined to get the result.
Thanks very much.
Pleasure.
Hi, Brendan.
Okay.
You okay? I wonder whether I could ask about injuries. Are there any fresh concerns for you ahead of the weekend?
Dennis Pratt has been out for a few days, so but he should come back into training tomorrow and should be okay. Apart from that, everyone is okay.
What was the issue with Dennis?
Just his foot. He's had an ongoing issue with his foot for a little while. He's trained through it. He's tried to play through it. So he's just been offloaded for a few days to try and allow that to recover. And I seen him out on the pitches today with our conditioning team and rehabilitation team, and he looked fine. So should be okay for tomorrow.
Excuse me. The 25-man squad for Leicester has been announced now, and the rest of the clubs as well. Ryan Bertrand is in the squad. Ricardo isn't, and obviously due to his injury. Are you anticipating that you'll be able to have Ryan Bertrand available to you before January?
Well, that's what the reason why Ryan's been made available and Ricardo hasn't. We're not expecting Ricardo back until sometime in the new year. So, and every other player that we reckon can get and be fit in this period, they're in the squad.
The stadium expansion was approved yesterday at a planning meeting. I wonder for you as the manager of the football club, how big you feel that kind of project is right now, and I suppose how big it is that it's actually been approved and it can go ahead.
Well, I think it's a great news for the football club, and I also think it's a great, showing where that sort of collaboration between the local authorities and the club, and how much they work together to keep improving and developing Leicester City. So I think it's great news. It's obviously part of the legacy of Kunvichai. It's something that these plans were thought about and talked about when he was alive. So this is another example of continuing to commemorate his legacy and keep the club developing and moving forward.
Having a training ground like this and having that stadium expansion approved, and of course all the regeneration around the area with the hotel and the arena and things like that, how will that benefit Leicester City on the pitch? Will that kind of thing, do you think, appeal to maybe potential players that the club would like to bring in? Is that something that would go through a player's mind, do you think?
Yeah, well, I think firstly the training facility. This is a world-class training ground, so that's something that will always appeal to a player. The ability to come in and work and prepare and get yourself ready for your profession in this environment is what any player would love, firstly. And of course, secondly, at the stadium with the club growing and developing, its fan base, getting more supporters in, and obviously some revenue that will come from that as well, then clearly that benefits the football club.
Oh, okay. It was a bit short, wasn't it? I wasn't expecting it to finish just there. I suppose in a way I kind of get it, because there's been no game, so there's not exactly a lot to talk about that you would be maybe saying, well, this happened in the last game, so I get it. Just a few points that I've written down, and I say that I was struggling to think about. I'm writing down just for the sake of it. It would have been interesting with his Queen comments to see. I'm sure he would have said the same if he'd been at Liverpool, but he might have been asked a slightly different pertinent question.
Well, maybe, but thankfully he wasn't.
Yeah. Looking forward to playing again. I mean, obvious answers here. This Tom Bowley thing. I mean, it's like, what do these Americans not get into their head that we've got enough fucking games going on?
It's not that. It's not that, right? It's not that. And I'm sorry, I'm going to get a lot of backlash for this, I assume, for the way I'm going to say this. And I'm sorry for not having a lack of better educational way of saying this. But fuck off with your Yankee Doodle interruptions in our sport. You tried with the Super League. Now you're trying to get us to do some all-star thing. We're not the Harlem Globetrotters. We're not NFL football. We're not fucking soccer. Fuck off. If you wanted that, go and take over a team in America. Why did you buy Chelsea? Pisses me off when they come over here with the stupid ideas. It works in a country like America because that's how they've always and done it. Leave our English game alone. Do your job as Chelsea owner. Fund them, win things. Fund them, win things. Fuck off with your fanciful ideas. It pisses me off. I'm really glad that Brendan came out and said that about how stupid an idea it is. Because it's stupid.
Yeah.
I won't sit on the fence, though, mate. I'm sitting on the fence.
I'm just getting 999 ready in my phone just in case you get.
It just annoys me. You think they'd learn, wouldn't you, from previous experience of how it dropped like a lead balloon that he wouldn't come up with such a stupid idea? Go and take over an American club then. We'll get them to do it.
This is the Americans that when they first did soccer back in the 70s, that you couldn't lose a game. You had to have a draw. And if the game ended... you had to have a win. If there was a draw at the end of the game, you had to have a kick-off from the penalty spot or something. I mean, it was weirdest thing.
Oh, no,
this
mate.
Is a country that has the World Series for baseball when there's only their fucking country in it, you know.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that Brendan very sarcastically said,
Yeah.
"Well, that's great because we'll have a weekend off because
I mean,
we're in the Midlands."
yeah.
You know?
I did like that, and I'm sorry, right? But I'm not saying he's a bad businessman. Clearly, he's not. He's very rich. Well, stick to what you're good at, mate. Because, like you said there, your country went, everybody takes penalty kicks from a 12-yard spot. Maybe we should do it like we do in hockey and have them run from the halfway line and try and take it past the goalkeeper. No, you monk. Stop doing that in sport and leave that to your own country. Rec football, soccer. I'm glad you actually call it soccer because at least then we can have no affiliation to football in terms of how you want to ruin your sport, your own country.
And
just don't open your mouth.
They call football a game that you play with your hands.
Yeah, and it's like you went to them, the clues and the question. We use this body part, this one here, to kick it. I mean, they'd call handball throwball, wouldn't they? Just because it's throwing a ball.
If you ever get the chance, go and listen to Michael McIntyre on his skit he did on the differences between English and French language, English and American language, because they say they speak English and they don't. And he said it's like they can't call it a pavement, but they have to, because they're so thick over there, they have to describe where these things are. So it's where you walk, but it's at the side of the road. Because if you didn't call it a sidewalk, you wouldn't know where you'd be going. Where do I walk? What do I do?
Yeah.
I'm not claiming credit for that. Go and watch the skit, Michael McIntyre. It is really, really, really funny. Oh my God, not Bertrand. But I see, I kind of get this. You see, I mean,
we've got no choice.
I know it's difficult to criticise Bertrand when he hasn't been playing.
Exactly.
I can remember when we signed him. And I was very much thinking, great, this is going to be the new Fuchs, if you like, experience-wise. And he was probably, for me, the player of the pre-season that season. He got injured not long into the season and struggled. And he's never been right since. Now, okay, maybe we shouldn't have bought him, if we know that history. But he's going to be fit before January, and Ricardo isn't. What's the point? What is the point? We had that when we named Fofana, and then we lost him, and we had Mendy scratching his bum. What have you learnt about yourself? Keeping the environment light. Performances have not been up to the level. We've lost the aggression. We've defended badly. And they've had a chance to have a look at all this. I mean, at the end of the day, somebody said there, it's the same answers every week, but he's getting asked the same questions every week. It's like watching an episode of Mastermind, and every week it's the same specialist topic.
Yeah, and thank you, people, for saying that, Chris, because I've been saying this for weeks on end, what people have been having going in for being boring and bland, and that is, he gets asked the same questions, what do you expect? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. It's not going to happen. If you get asked the same question, you can only answer it, the same. You can only word that answer response so many times, and it's just, what we expect him to say? He's not going to say anything different because it's not going to do him any favours. He's going to give you the same answers been given for the last 3 or 4 weeks while form's been bad. He gives the same answers when it's good, just reverse every negative that's in the sentences he says, flip to a positive. It's exactly what he says when it's going right. So,
and this isn't just Leicester, it's not just everybody hates little Leicester and they want to put us down. No, they don't. These are the questions that get asked of any club that's in our position at the moment. You go back and look at Newcastle with Bruce, Newcastle with Pardew,
Newcastle. just Newcastle. You could say Newcastle.
Yeah, exactly. Norwich with whoever it was before. When they're going to ask those questions, they're poking the bear. That's because that's their job. They want a reaction. And he must sit there. And as I say, my head is up my arse when it comes to Rodgers, because if we go and lose tomorrow, and I've stood here and said to you, we're not going to win tomorrow. I predicted a loss in the prediction league, as you know. You were there. But if we'd put a bad performance in, then yes, I will be coming out and going absolutely mad at Rodgers. But then, when I've had time for reflection, this is still the guy that has got it. And it is collective responsibility, but he's the manager. It ends up at his door. Interesting point that I picked up on was the injury to Pratt. Now, we've been saying for a few weeks, why isn't he picking Pratt? Pratt said he wants to stop, just like Samari. Samari's got in there, Pratt hasn't. Why? Well, if he's been carrying this injury, and okay, you could say, why is he on the bench then? But, maybe he could come on for the last 10 minutes if needed. And you can argue, let's be honest with you, he gets the subs right. The subs come on and score a couple of goals. It's wonderful substitutions, right? So, but maybe that's why Pratt hasn't been playing, like I would have liked him to have been.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good shout for that. And again, people might come on and say, oh, well, why hasn't this been asked? Well, this is the first time he's ever been asked. He can't, you're not going to answer a question you're not asked, are you, these interviews? People might have been asking, why wasn't he asked these over the years when Pratt's been there, or not out on loan, but he's been there, isn't available. But some things you're not going to answer and come out and say, oh, yeah, by the way, I've got a player that's a little bit injury prone and has got a nick. You're going to keep it stum until, like today, like this morning or whenever it was this was done live, someone's gone, what about Pratt? And he's gone. This isn't like it's breaking news. This is clearly an injury he's had. And like you said about him being on the bench, well, he said there, he's been playing and training through it. So, this 2 weeks has kind of been, in the greatest respect, I'm purely saying on a club basis, not a world basis here, it's a blessing in disguise for Leicester, and it's been a bit of a godsend, if you will, for them to maybe recoup and really get their head around. Because one thing I did like about what he said is this has allowed an extended break sort of for them to readdress the issues, because we've been a bit cramped with fixtures, haven't we? Before last weekend, and it's easy to ride a momentum when you're winning every week, like our opponents were until they played Sporting Lisbon. Sporting Lisbon. Anyway, moving on. But my point is, when you're flying high, it's easy. You don't even have to say anything. They can train, they can play on a Tuesday, they can win. Brilliant. Saturday's going to be even easier for us than the boys. When you're losing that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday bracket where you're intense training and working on it, it goes so quickly. And before you know it, you're doing your last training session, you're on the coach traveling or whatever on the Friday, and it's, oh God, another game. When you get this break, it actually can benefit a team, almost like an international break. Sometimes it hinders and sometimes it helps you. And this could be one that does go on to help Leicester, because they have more time to analyse it. You can't really analyse something in 3 days and prepare for an opposition. You can in 2 weeks when you're on bad form.
Yes. I mean, Scott, and this is no disrespect to you, Scott, I've been waiting for you to come in and play the youth card. The fact that we've let one player go, well, it's not just been one player. Kramaric didn't do too bad when he went to Hoffenheim. But the fact that we let this guy go to Rangers, who's then gone on to play and earn a lot of money for Rangers, selling them on to, I can't even remember where he's gone, to be honest with you. It happens. Kevin De Bruyne was let go. And they had to pay a fortune to get him back. That is football, Scott.
Yeah, that's football. Also remember, one person who we let go from the development squad, we pinched from Arsenal's development squad, Fonte Campbell. So it doesn't always work out. And sometimes, who is this Rangers player that everybody's on about? It's not Joseph Dodo still, is it? Because he was a player.
No, it wasn't Dodo.
Do you remember that
one? But I do. We sold him. I mean, he's just scored 4 goals in the League Cup or something.
Yeah, and he went to Rangers, and I still remember his quote: "You can't turn down the opportunity to play in front of 50,000 at Ibrox Stadium." Well, I don't think he ever played for them, so he never got that experience that he was hoping for. But again, you see these players are lured by certain things at clubs. I mean, I know that was mentioned in our press conference in regards to what we'll talk about. Calvin Ramsey, but again, it's one of them. Some
you don't
players.
know. You don't know. You know how many. Look at the guys. Look at the players we've got. Christian Fuchs was let go for a free. Mark Albrighton was let go for a free. I bet the managers of whether it was in Austria and Aston Villa at the time never thought, "Oh, these will go on and win the Premier League." That's the risk you take, you know. And you know, how many signings did Alex Ferguson get wrong? Quite a bit. And Terry makes the point here. Gray makes the point, I should say. So I'm not having to go with you, Scott, obviously, but I mean, okay, let me just go back to Scott's point before I bring that one in. Scott wants to play these development players. So do we drop all the players that like the Madisons and the Tielemans and you know, Vardys and Dackers, etc., and put the youth team in against Spurs?
No, it'd be absolutely ludicrous. In fact, there'd be fires, pitchforks, and protests and banners made before the full-time whistle if he went out there. Because no offence to the young lads, right? I've seen some of their performances in the under-23s, and they can be brilliant and they can be bad. It shows that the consistency of Leicester runs throughout. But you'd be slaughtering them. It'd be no good for them. It'd be no good for the development. It'd absolutely crush them. And unless it was like a Carabao Cup 3rd round, 4th round tie that you know, and you're a Man City, you're not really, well, not Man City because it was their cup till last season, but you know what I mean? Like, you're not really, as fans, you're not really bothered about it, and that's the opportunity you give them. You can't do that to young players. You've got to integrate them. That's where Leicester have been so good. When we've kept them or sold them on over the years, you know, you're talking about players that we've let go. Muzzy Izzet, who we got from Chelsea, is a classic example of one that came to us. Andy King, KDH, Ben Chilwell, irrespective of your opinions. Steve Walsh. Yeah, we have had players who either we've developed from within or we've taken from other youth products, but still developed them at our youth, but they're not been naturally Leicester born and bred, raised talents from within our like under 8s and etc. And you've got to see that them successes. I mean, I'd back the question, right? Like you just said, let's put out the development squad, right, for last season. Let's go back in time, like we did with Villa in his press conference, right? How good is KDH if he's got his under 23s around him?
Yeah.
Sometimes you've got to balance it, Scott. You've got to have that balance.
Says here, in fairness, he said it was actually referring to Kamal Soha, to be honest, as for example, he was on loan at OH Leuven for 3 years, yet we've been screaming for a white winger midfielder. He now plays for Bruges. But that's in the Belgian league. Both of those clubs are in the Belgian league, which isn't the Premier League, which we are in at the moment. You know, one word, Benkovic. We brought him in. Two words, Philip Benkovic. Well, exactly. Just in case there was another one. I couldn't remember his first name, but
I just wanted to be an arse, mate.
It was, so we don't get mixed up with his twin brother, Philip Benkovic. Hey, he's great. We brought him in. He had some great seasons up at Scotland under the manager we've got now. Absolutely shite in ours because you're doing well there. Lukaku doing brilliant at AC Milan. Oh, let's spend 80-odd million for him, shall we, Chelsea? How good was he for you? He was shite. You don't know it's a risk you take. And sometimes people remember a name and they think, oh, I'm going to refer to that every time someone brings it up. And again, to add to that Benkovic name, Kaputska. Yeah, that's the other one I was saying. I couldn't think of his name. Yeah, exactly.
Vicente Diabate, as you forgot, but I remember.
The wonder striker who got 2 against Peterborough, or 3 against Peterborough in the League Cup, and everybody was saying, is he the next wonder kid? And yet Alfred Musa, whatever he was called, got 2 against Barcelona.
I just brought up that Joseph Dodu from a few years ago who scored 3 or 4 in the, you know, and that again, prime example. You've got to manage these youth and their expectations rightly. So you can't just moan us for getting one wrong.
And like I say, Scott, it's your opinion, and we're just, you know, replying to your opinion. So I'm going to go at you, and we
Yeah,
thank
we're
you
not,
for your comments.
never here to have a go at you, unless you're Bowley, who owns Chelsea. I'm going to rightly rip you to shreds in the comments.
Spurs left in Europe the other night. They were chopping at the bit to make us grovel, as we would for them if the other way was round. 1-0 down to Kane before we kick off. Yeah, you get teams like that. You can't. We went years against Arsenal until we actually won. We even lost to them twice when we won the bloody thing. We then had a season when we'd won for the first time in however many years at Liverpool. Let's not forget that when we had a manager, Jock Wallace, and I think it was this, he got us promoted and we came straight back down. But that season we came straight back down, we actually beat Liverpool twice. We were the first team in about 4 years to win at Anfield. We were the first team to do the double over them in I don't know how long, but we still went down. You know, some clubs, it's just the way it is. And
Wigan winning the FA Cup but going down.
Yes, yeah, Wycombe Wanderers beating us. No, let's not go there. Can I just say, yesterday in the year 2000, I sound a bit like busted now, but yesterday in the year 2000, Steve Walsh left us to join Norwich City. Not one of Tater Peeler's. Well, we should have known where it was going. And I suppose having had this extra week to kind of assess things in my mind, I'm looking at this season. Yes, Brentford was disappointing, but occasionally you are going to get that sort of a game against those teams. Arsenal, like I say, the performance wasn't brilliant, but did Arsenal not, make it that way? And I would have expected to lose to them anyway. Southampton, even as when we beat them 9-0, they beat us when they came back to the Walkers. What was I saying, to the King Power? Chelsea and Man United, we've had some tough games in there. Okay, Brighton, yeah, that was a bad one. There's no excuse in it.
Yeah.
If Man United had been Norwich, if Chelsea had been Watford or Bournemouth, do you know what I'm saying? That if those teams hadn't been, because we've now played, when we've played Tottenham, we've played Arsenal, we've played Chelsea, we've played Man United, we've played Tottenham, we've played 4 of the big 6 in our first 7 games. That is a hell of a start. And as somebody in the press conference said, which is, and I said this at the start, I think, didn't I? This next month coming up is going to be the difference because they are winnable games.
Yeah, very much so. And again, you have to stress, and again, the reasoning, not really, again, not really a reason or an excuse here, but it does make them games against, you talk about playing the teams that we played already in the, for God's sake, get out, Gray. Think about the balls on the step and think about what you've said and what you've done. It's very naughty. Bring up such a name. And he spelt it wrong. It was acting bad boy.
Can I just say, Gray, I've got to say this to you.
I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you.
Yes. Sorry, Brad, do carry on.
But I think that also adds to the disappointment. When you get given such a tough start, it's and Rodgers made no counter saying that they're poor in not picking up points in the games where it was more favourable. But that's just what makes them results worse. And again, it's a funny old game, football, because Leicester could not pick up a point, which they haven't in the first 7 games. I know, pending Tottenham. But then they could play these next 7 games where you've listed off the likes of Forest, Bournemouth, Villa, Man City now. But they could win 4 of them next 7 games and be slowly back up that table, maybe about 13th, 14th by the time it's balanced out, given we're already a couple of points behind certain teams. But it all put a new line of perspective on it, and it just shows you how quickly things can turn in football.
If we'd have drawn with Brentford, lost to Southampton, lost to Brighton, but won all those other games against mid-bottom table teams, we'd be sat in the middle. We'd be sat halfway up the table, and we wouldn't be having this conversation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you know what? You're right.
I want to say, sorry, before you go, I just want to say to Terry, because at the start we did talk about Back to the Future. I think Terry is going to the future. Aren't Forest playing Fulham tomorrow?
I would have.
I think they are. I don't think there's a game. It's Thursday night tonight, and there's 2 games on Friday, according to the Premier League. I'm just going to check it because you never know with the way these games are being changed at the moment. Yeah, Nottingham Forest, Fulham, Friday the 16th of September. So I think you'll be sat on your own there, Terry.
Well,
take the dog with you.
I mean, if he's gone to spy on, if he's gone to the game to spy on them, I hope they've opened the concourse so he can get some food for the next 24 hours while he waits for the kick-off.
Yes. I'm going to leave the press conference there because basically we are not unlike the reporters and Brendan. We are unfortunately going a lot of the same things. 9 o'clock tonight, we have got the preview for the Tottenham game, which I'm not looking forward to. We've got Simon, the Spurs fan, coming in from Premier Hotspur TV. Thankfully, he's a nice Spurs fan, so we won't rub it in too much. I just want to show you this because do you remember when we won the FA Cup?
I do.
Do you remember this picture?
I certainly do.
Now, if that man means that heart for the club, why the fuck isn't he signing an extension to the contract so we can get some money for him?
Because Kylian Mbappe didn't sign one for PSG, and look how that turned out. He ended up signing one. I mean, the thing is, it's one of them. Maybe look, maybe they had a final sit down, and he went, you give 100% or you dropped, but we'll let you go in the summer for no. And he's gone, okay, that sounds fair. I'm happy to give all I can, help you out, and I totally understand if I put my head up my own arse or in the sand and be an ostrich, I'm not going to play and I'm not going to get scouted by these bigger clubs that will take it. You don't know. I mean, I'm not saying...
Should he not be doing that anyway? He shouldn't have to be told that, if you want a good move, you're going to have to play well. You should be playing well anyway, because we're paying you wages to do that.
Well, yeah, but at the end of the day, unfortunately, whether we like it or not, it's a situation we found ourselves in where the club and the player have to come to some form of understanding or agreement. And I'm not, just to clarify, I'm not saying Kylian Mbappe and Tielemans in the same breath as in terms of quality. Yeah. A, they're playing completely wrong different position, and B, he's nowhere near him. But he signed an extension when he could have easily gone free before the transfer window, right? Didn't he? We still don't.
I agree. Gray says here he doesn't want to stay. I know he doesn't. We know he's made that blatantly clear. But Maguire didn't want to stay. But he signed a contract so that he said, you're not going to lose out on me.
Yeah, but the difference is, right, him and Maguire, I will throw another thing you could add to that, Chris, is the two things both of them players said that certain rat snake weasels didn't say in their time at the club is, I do, Maguire said, Manchester United, boyhood club, do want to go there if they come in offer. But, and this is what both these players have said in slightly different circumstances, I understand, because Maguire signed the contract, but they have both turned around and said, however, if I don't get the move and they don't come calling for me and they don't pay what you aspire to hold me as in terms of valuation, I'm more than happy to get my head down and stay here and get on with my job. Now, discrepancies. Maguire signed the contract, gives him more of an edge. I totally accept and appreciate that. But the same can be said about Tielemans, because he did come out and say,
give him an edge, though, because if he then doesn't perform well and he doesn't get the move, he's still got the contract here, and Leicester can't turn around and say, well, we don't want you now. All I'm saying is that if he was I don't care. I don't want him to put his head down, because Tielemans has never had that problem that he's never not given 100%. If he has bad games, he has a bad games, and everybody does, right? What I want him to do is just show a little bit of loyalty. I'm not asking. I know he's not a Leicester lad. I don't want him to sort of tattoo LCFC on his right fucking buttock. What I want him to do is not just put his head down and pay, because that's what he's getting paid, 100-odd grand a week or whatever it is he's on. That's what he's getting paid to do. He's getting paid to go out there every week and give his best. All I'm saying is that he could easily sign a contract that says if somebody comes in, as reportedly Newcastle might be, with 17 million, I can speak to them. Right? Okay, yeah, we'll put that in. Or if a team comes in that's in Europe next season in one form or another, or whatever that's Conference Europe, I can speak to them. Yeah, we can put that in. But they've got to come up with at least, like you say, the 17 million or whatever.
Yeah.
You can that. That's all we're asking him to do. It's not, strapping him into the electric chair and threatening to turn it on. We're just saying,
but then
give us something back, especially with all the trouble we're going through. Do you know what it reminds me of a little bit? And I know you're gonna laugh at me here, but Dennis Wise, when we sacked him, right, we gave him an extra year or whatever it was that was on his career, and he was absolutely shite for us, but he was being paid for being shite. He then went and punched Callum Davidson on the nose or whatever it was in a card dispute. We were in the throes of about to be going bust. We sacked him for gross misconduct. The FA, because we all know the FA are complete arseholes, the FA said, "Bet you can't sack him." Well, he just punched another player, but you can't sack him. So we had to pay him off money and legal fees and what have you. And then that meant that we still, that he knew we were going to be going bust. He knew the situation, but he didn't care. That is Tielemans' attitude at the moment.
I digress because Tielemans, like you said, has always gave to the best of his ability 100%. What was that? Please. I was reading because I thought Scott was maybe. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. But the thing is, right? It's easy for and I don't just mean you, it's not just you, but it's easy for everybody else to sit there and go, well, why don't we accommodate his needs? Why don't we offer it? Why, because you're giving all the power to the player. Yes, you may argue, well, he's got the power to do this now. Well, maybe Leicester should have maybe cottoned on and tried to sell him a couple of seasons ago when he only had 2 years left on his deal and that. But if you do, let's say Leicester took your verbal approach that you've gone to me, and you go, oh, well, if this club comes in for me, or this club comes in for me, and we go, yeah, we'll do that, yeah, we'll do that, yeah, we'll do that. What does that message send to the rest of that dressing room? When it comes to next year and we've got, say, I don't know.
The message that's being sent to the rest of the dressing room is at the moment, and we've got, I think, 4 or 5 players that have got a year left on your contract. Don't sign, guys. Don't sign. Wait.
Yeah,
and then you can leave at the end of the season.
Chris, it's easy to say that to like the end of his contract. But what if then Castagne and Pereira and Harvey Barnes and Maddison? I'll take 4 players that probably have guaranteed at least a couple of years on the contract, if not more. Right? What if they look at the Tielemans situation, right, and they go, and Leicester did cave in and give him everything he wanted just to get an extra 2 years out of him, just to sell him in the summer. And Newcastle persist with their moves for Barnes and Maddison in January and again in the summer. And then Maddison goes, oh, well, I've got 2 years on my contract. I might just be an arse. I might be an arse and keep negotiating. Yeah, but we're going to end up, Chris, we're going to end up with I'm yelling because my fucking pisses me off.
No, what I'm saying is Tielemans has messed us about for 12 months, refusing to sign. What has that said to players?
Yeah, but he's trying to
mess them about for 12 months, and then we've only got a year left, and we can do this.
Well, exactly the same if they turn around and go, well, hold on a minute. He's made some outrageous demands or whatever, and the club goes, no, mate, we've got to do it. We're doing this.
The club aren't losing out because the club will still be able. He's going to go, whether he goes for a free or whether we can get 15 odd million for him. That 15 million could be the difference, between us buying another player in January or not.
It could, but it could also be the difference between us getting Europe and not to twist it back on yourself with things you said before.
I totally agree with you. I totally agree, and that's the balance of the club. I again, playing devil's advocate. I just think I've just lost a lot of respect for him. Totally. I don't care whether he won the FA Cup for us or not. He did not win the FA Cup for us. 15 odd players that were on that pitch on and off during the game won the FA Cup for us. He happened to score a goal. We were lucky that Chelsea, that was offside, because that was that much. It was a toenail offside. Yeah. And if that had been allowed, I honestly think they'd have gone on and won it. So I'm sorry. to be honest with you, that's all. I'm just thinking when you see what people call Harry Maguire and have a go at him, and yet he was decent enough to do that for us, and I didn't know that until Rob at The Athletic told me, and I thought, and it changed my whole perspective of that guy now. But it's also changed my whole perspective of Yuri Tillemans. Belgium, France, next to each other. Maybe we should be reading something into that.
Well, maybe we should, but then we could look at our team. We also praised the fact that our new centre-back isn't French as we thought he would be, and he is Belgium, and we realised we had several connections within the club that he's played with. So, potato. Look, us fans are never going to see eye to eye on the Tillemans side. But at the end of the day, you kind of said it yourself that he has no loyalty to Leicester and he has got one eye on his career. Look, if he puts in 100% and he goes free and he never throws his toys out the pram, he's not sat in a French airport or a whatever airport waiting for a move in January and he's going on strike. As long as he never takes them actions, yes, my opinions of him have dimmed from because I was sort of hoping he would do what you suggested, and I thought he'd have done it before the summer started, maybe sign a quick extension, 2 years. It'd have done. It would suffice. But if he puts the effort in, and he's and he ends up being that player you look at and go, well, he was the difference between Leicester at this point staying up rather than going down. But
yeah, I agree.
Then fine. He goes for a bit more blessing.
I'm going to take you right back to when I was about 18. So it is black and white TV years. Not quite, but you know what I mean.
1986.
My manager at my first job, he thought a lot of himself. Funny enough, it was called Julian, and he used to go to every sort of 12 months. He'd go to the managers, to his area manager, and go, look, I've got another job, and they'd say, oh, don't go, we'll give you this, and they went, okay, I'll stay then, and that went on for a couple of years, and the third year he came along, or whatever it was, and then I've got another job, I want to go. All right then. What? Yeah, if you want to go, we'll let you go. And you obviously don't want to be here, so we'll let you go. He then wrote a stinking letter into the job he was working for now, saying how bad they were, how they didn't look after the staff, or blah, 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 blah. And when his new job said, can we have a reference for him, please? They didn't actually write one out. They just sent him a copy of that letter. Oh. They withdrew the job offer, and then he'd up out of work. So, yeah, but yeah, I get 100% what you are saying. I don't know even why I brought that up, but
it's a nice story to tell.
It was, wasn't it? It kind of had something to do with it, but I do get what you're saying, and I've said that before, haven't I? Hold on to him, and it could be the difference between us getting into Europe. I hope Newcastle come in January and offer us 17 million for him. Because A, it will may give Arsenal a kick up the arse, and B, I have a feeling he'll probably sign for Juventus or someone on a pre-nuptial agreement or whatever they call it. But I just want to end on this with you, Anthony, because I know you're an Arsenal fan and you live in Bristol, so you're also a bit of a Bristol City whore as well. But tomorrow night on the radio show that I do, 11 o'clock tomorrow night, we are actually looking at the worst football records. We know what the best ones are. We're going to be looking at the worst. And there is a Leicester
Derby County.
I haven't found a Derby County song, but there's 6. It's only part 1, so there could be more to come. But there are 6 England songs, 6 club songs, and then 6 songs by players. And to be honest with you, Anthony, I heard the Bristol City song for the first time in my life the other night. Now, Man United did a song with Status Quo, and we jest about Tottenham doing it with Chaz and Dave. But Anthony, how did you get those rock gods that are known as the Wurzels to do that song with you?
I don't even want to know. I don't. I've got to eat and prepare for a show after this, so I don't want to.
That is awful. Talking of your show, tell us all about it and where people can find you, Brad.
Yeah, well, apart from catching me here, you can catch me on my YouTube channel, A Matter of Opinion. The show I'm doing tonight, and I won't confuse Chris because he doesn't get reference, is about
very confused.
It's about legendary beasts. It's about the Loch Ness monster, the Kraken, all them sort of creatures. So if you want to talk them, you want to talk, did they exist? Did they used to exist, but now they're extinct, and that's why we don't see them anymore? Reports, or were those exposed hoaxes just exactly what they were? It's a channel called A Matter of Opinion for that. It's a place where you can safely come and give your opinion on the topic in question. I will also be revealing something in my intro, so make sure you do tune in. It's every Thursday, so today at 8 o'clock. I will be live, 8 o'clock on the channel. Give it a subscribe, turn the notifications on. I will be letting you know an insight into where the channel's going in the future, so make sure you do tune in, get on 8 o'clock so you don't miss that. And thanks for...
I tell you what, if you want to see Brad revealing himself at 8 o'clock, that's the place to be. Message me, because I've got a show coming up at 9. We're doing the preview for the Spurs game, so I'll be getting ready for that. So unfortunately, I probably won't be able to come in on yours. So let me know what the surprise. I hate surprises and not knowing what they are. But Anthony, I tell you what. Let me tell you what it is called, Anthony. I have it here. One for the Bristol City. With the Wurzels, one for the Bristol City. Sorry, no, I can't do accents. Brad, thank you very much, sir. As always, I will see you for the debate show tomorrow at 9 o'clock. We all know what that is going to be about. That is going to be extremely interesting. Tune in tomorrow at 9 o'clock for that. And I'm now going to see if I've had a reply from a Liverpool fan that wants to come on. Good luck with your show, mate. All the best with it. And I will see you tomorrow night at 9. Take care, buddy.
Take care.
Cheers. Be sure to get over and what I'd love to be actually watching that, because I love things like UFOs, Bigfoot. You know, do they really exist? Is Donald Trump just a myth? Or you know what I mean? But and don't forget, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for joining in. It is never a case that we don't agree with, or we obviously don't agree with sometimes what you say. But we respect your opinion. We always respect your opinion, because that is what football is all about. It's just that we have to play devil's advocate as presenters sometimes, because that's the job that we do on here. If you like this, How the Devil Are You? There's a full range of Leicester Till I Die merchandise available in the shop, on the website. Just look along the top for the index and you'll see the shop. Click on there and you'll see all the different things that Leicester Till I Die for branded merchandise. Radio show, LTID radio. Really enjoy doing it because it's music as well. It's not just football talk. And what I've done so far, I've done 2 shows, trying to find out what the best time for the shows are. We did one looking back at the 2015-16. And I've realised I didn't have much music for that because I'm an old man now. But I then did on Wednesday the 76-77 season. Bloomfield's last season in charge, he resigned at the end of that because the fans weren't happy with him. Be careful what we wish for, because we got McClintock then, if you remember. Go along to mixcloud.com/LTID radio. No gaps at all. Mixcloud.com/LTID radio. And please follow me on there, because then you get notifications when the shows are going live, etc., and when I've uploaded. And you can listen to it live if you don't want to watch. You know, it's a bit like a podcast. It's a radio. But the good thing is, like I say, I mean, the music from the 70s, wow, it just took us back in time. That's Back to the Future. Get flares and everything back from the 70s. Yeah, maybe not. I will see you at 9 o'clock. Be sure to get over to Brad's channel at 8 o'clock, A Matter of Opinion, show him your support, and then come back to mine for 9 o'clock when we will be looking at the Spurs game with Craig and Simon, a Spurs fan. Guys, thank you so very, very, very much. Please do that with the radio. It would be more than appreciated. If you've been watching, thank you very much. If you have been listening, thank you for lending me your ears. I'll let you have them back now. You can go and wash them out. We'll see you at 9 o'clock. Take care, stay safe, and don't do anything I wouldn't enjoy. See you later.
Thanks for watching Leicester Till I Die. This is Chris saying goodbye and see you next time.
This week's episode has come to an end. But the fun doesn't have to stop here. If you have any questions, suggestions, or feedback, head over right now to Twitter and Facebook and like, share, and get involved. Join us next time.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too or I'll be back.
Leicester Till I